Hello, I am Fernanda Paiva, Hitchhiking Stars, and now we're going to talk about the full moon. The full moon happening on the 29th of September 2023 at 6 degrees Aries. So this full moon is happening at the exact 6 degree of Aries, so 6 degrees in Libra sun, and the moon at 6 degrees Aries right opposite. So there are a few things in this full moon that I'm finding very interesting, and it's really calling my attention to a similar direction. Now, when we have Libra and Aries being emphasized, there's always an emphasis on relationships as well. I think every star sign, every set of opposites, they kind of relate to each other in a unique way. There's something that connects the two opposites. And in the case of Libra and Aries, is relating and relationships. So Libra will be talking about who am I when I'm in partnership, how can I share, how can I be part of a duet, of a team. And Aries is how can I be myself, who am I when I'm alone, what do I want versus what everybody else wants, or the other person wants, in the case of Libra. So there's this duality of I versus us when we have an emphasis in Libra and Aries. And inevitably, the full moons that involve these two signs, they kind of bring that dynamic forward. Now, full moons are combinations. They're also connected with a strong release of energy, a powerful release of energy as well. They tend to be dramatic and very emotional at times, especially if you have a strong Cancerian placements in your chart. So if you have your sun sign, your moon sign, your ascendant in Cancer, you tend to vibe with the moon a lot as well. So the lunar phases will have a very strong impact on you. And also, if you have anything around these degrees of the cardinal signs, so Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, then this full moon will be picking up something very personal for you. So it will be even more, it would tend to be a little bit more dramatic, or more personal, really. Something might actually be happening that will be very visible to you during this full moon. But in general, so the general energy of this full moon is very much about learning how to be an individual within partnerships. I think this is one of the key elements and one of the key flavors that I'm picking up as I see the chart, as I look at the chart, and as I look at a few different things in this chart as well. So first, obviously, is what I said, the sun and the moon being in Libra and Aries, but also the fact that the moon in Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Libra as well at the time of this full moon. So Mars is at 21 degrees Libra during the full moon. So the ruler of the moon is also in Libra and is very close to the south node in Libra. Now we have the lunar nodes, we have the south and the north node, and Mars being connected to the south node in Libra is really pointing out to something quite special about this full moon, because it's the ruler of the full moon, and it's telling us that this big release, this big combination that will be happening during the full moon, that's traditionally happening every full moon, will have a karmic element to it. Will have a past life element to it as well. So some old pattern might be coming up very strongly. Some old patterns connected to people pleasing, to phoning as well, trying to be liked at all costs, and not standing by what you actually want, or finding difficult to say no, or finding difficult to actually know what you want. When your ability to pick up on what people want and what people expect from you, and especially if you're an empath, or if you are a highly sensitive person, then you tend to naturally do that sort of Libran energy of like picking up on what the other person wants and balancing it out, and reacting or acting accordingly to what's expected from you. Now, this full moon will be challenging this behavior. So if you are in a codependent relationship, if you are involved in dynamics where you're suppressing your voice, you're suppressing your individuality, this will be very, very strongly challenged. And it might be pointing out to older tendencies or even older dynamics with the same person. Something, perhaps someone that you've known from past lives as well, that you might be reliving these dynamic and this situation somehow. But that Mars in Libra near the South Node for me is really pointing out to something that will culminate, something that will become very clear during this full moon. And it has to do with the past, something that we're getting ready to let go of, something that we need to access. We need to learn how to be, how to bring the gifts of Libra forward and step into the Aries as well. So it's balancing these two together and letting go of the shadow side of Libra as well in a way. And I think, again, because the moon is in Aries as well, is the shadow side of Aries as well, potentially, and the unconscious behavior. So sometimes we might be a little bit like a pendulum, the pendulum effect. And we might be overly pleasing, overly on the people-pleasing side and agreeable and charming and etc. And then suddenly you get really angry because you're stepping over your boundaries for too long. So then you become very disruptive and angry over something small. So this is a kind of a dynamic that I'm sharing here now that could be an example of something that might be triggered during this full moon, that might be shown to us. So the idea as well with these intense releases and these intense triggers is that we can, one, become really aware of them and see them playing out, and even see that there's still leftovers. I feel that the process of growth, it really happens in a kind of a spiral motion rather than just going upwards. So we get a chance to see where we're at, what leftovers we still have within us, what hang-ups we still have within us in this dynamic of being able to be diplomatic, being able to be to compromise, but without overly stepping on your boundaries, being able to express yourself individually and to express healthy anger, but without overdoing it as well. So we're sort of in that place, and this full moon, very importantly, will kind of be the last full moon before eclipse season comes as well. So there's something about that, and the eclipse season is obviously connected with the lunar nodes in Libra and Aries as well. So this is very, very important. It's something that we'll be lingering on to October as well, that we'll be looking into during the month of October. But pay attention to this full moon. See what comes up to you, because it definitely will be carrying these flavors, and see how that manifests in your life, what unique way will be manifesting in your life. But mostly we can clear ourselves out of karma during this full moon, and especially karma around values, around relationships, all the Venusian themes that will be highlighted there, because Venus is the ruler of Libra. So we've got that moon in Aries, as I mentioned, ruled by Mars in Aries, or by Mars in Libra, and that Mars in Libra is ruled by Venus, and the Sun in Libra is also ruled by Venus. So we've got that Venus in Leo playing a very strong part, being another important player in this full moon as well. And guess what? This Venus will also be forming a very important, very tight, almost exact applying aspect. It's not even a separating aspect to Uranus. So we've got Venus at 22 degrees Leo square, so 90 degrees to Uranus at 22 degrees Taurus. So Venus square Uranus will be challenging any codependence again. In a relationship that we might be involved for security reasons only, or that we might be holding each other back from expressing, being expressive and truly living an authentic life those will be challenged. And it really brings some questions about how can you allow space in your relationship, how can you be individuals together, how can you reclaim your space back. If that's what's happening as well, you might break up with somebody during this full moon because it's a culmination of some events. And with this Venus square Uranus, because Venus was retrograde for a while, for just over a month, there's also an interesting thing there, because Venus formed a square to Uranus a few times in the past. So for you to trace it and to connect your dots and see if you can make sense of these transits in this full moon as well, in hindsight, see what was going on for you when Venus formed a square to Uranus the last 2 times. So that happened in July the 1st. So that was the first square that Venus formed with Uranus. And then it happened again in August. So between the 6th and the 11th of August, Venus was lurking and into this square to Uranus as well. So what was happening then for you? Do you remember what was going on? Was there any conflict? Was there any strong urge to be yourself, to reclaim space, to go your own way? Or any developments in your relationships, in your finances, or expressing your values as well? Anything there will be touched again during this full moon. So that's the cool thing about astrology, is that we can see the cycles, and we can look at it and make these connections and think about it in a larger sense and look at the bigger picture of our lives. So this is the tip I give you. Have a look at those dates and what was going on for you around that time, because that flavor will be back in this full moon with the powerful energy of this full moon. Now, the next aspect that I want to mention here that will be happening as well during the full moon is Mercury and Virgo. So Mercury, it will be forming a couple of aspects as well at the time of this full moon. So it'll be trine to Uranus, again bringing Uranus into the picture very strongly. And that means powerful insights. I mean, it's the lightning bolt, sudden insight, sudden truth that you can see, or a sudden idea that hit you, that will be there as well. Now, with a strong energy, when Uranus is strongly playing a part like it is, especially during the month of September, I think it's important to try and not be too impulsive, because we might regret some of the actions that we take during an excessively energetic time like this. So if you can sit with the discomfort, that's a great practice to have. So you can think things through, you can ponder, you can feel it in your gut and know what the right course of action will be. But Mercury and Uranus is also reflecting insights that you can have during this full moon, that you can achieve, and achieve it in a different way, because Mercury is also opposing Neptune, and things could be a little bit unclear as well. So again, with this idea of not really rushing into action or rushing into making conclusions, that's another thing with this full moon. So that's it, like setting intentions, getting into these this awareness of how can you be more authentic in your connections, in your relationship, with your values, with this expression of your individuality. And to finish, I want to mention the Sabian symbols, because I always do, and I love the Sabian symbols, like I said before, and so many times, and it's just this very interesting imagery that we can have. And so the imagery for Aries 6th degree is a person successfully expressing themselves in 2 realms at once. So again, this could be seen as creative versatility, so being able to focus on your creative pursuits, on your life, your choices, your individuality, and being able to achieve success in different areas of your life at the same time, which seems like a real blessing. But it can also be about trying to be all things to all people. And that's the danger with that Mars in the South Node in Libra that I mentioned, and the dark side of Libra. So I'll leave you with that. Let's be successful expressing ourselves into our projects, into what excites us, and rather than being the people pleaser and trying to be everything to everyone else. So I'll leave you with that. I'm wishing you a wonderful, empowering, and beautiful full moon. And I will speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.